Welcome back to Washington Journal. I'm joined by Jessica Melugin. She is the Center for Technology and Innovation Director at the Competitive Enterprise Institute. Jessica, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
So remind us about the Competitive Enterprise Institute, its mission, its funding.
We are a free market think tank here in Washington, D.C., and we work on all sorts of regulatory issues. And lately, I can say, thankfully, we do not do social policy. We just do economic issues. So we stay out of that fray, but we talk about the idea of politicians being accountable for the regulations they put in place and what effect those have on citizens and consumers.
Well, we're going to talk about that new Disinformation Governance Board. And earlier this week, Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas was on Capitol Hill, and in addition to talking about border security, they did talk about that Disinformation Governance Board. Here it is.
So we're responding to something that's unknown, and what we do know is disinformation coming from it. Why should we not have suspicions on this?
Can I, I'll say two things. Number one, Senator, you mentioned that the Department of State and the Federal Bureau of Investigation already do this work. So does the Department of Homeland Security. The Department of Homeland Security has been doing this work for years in addressing disinformation that poses a threat to the security of our homeland, whether it's Russia in the cyber domain, whether it's disinformation with respect to the resources that FEMA provides to the most vulnerable people in the wake of a natural disaster, whether it's addressing the smuggling organizations and their disinformation, not to U.S. persons, but to vulnerable migrants who receive disinformation and are goaded into coming to the border under false pretenses. That work has been underway for years and years. What this group is to do is to ensure that that work is performed in a way consistent with the law. It does not infringe on freedom of speech, rights of privacy, civil rights, and civil liberties. It is going to establish what should have been established years ago: standards, definitions, guidelines, and policies.
All right, Jessica, what do you think of that?
Well, I think with like a lot of things, the devil's in the details here. So if those things are true and the considerations of civil liberties and the rights of U.S. citizens are going to be honored and respected in this process, I don't think that many people could object to getting safety information to migrants coming to the border. They've been told the wrong thing. This can cause huge problems for their health and safety on the journey here. Obviously, in the wake of an emergency, we don't want disinformation about, during a hurricane, if water is safe to drink or not. Those things are sort of, I think, beyond objection from reasonable people. I think the question becomes, is that really what we're talking about? Or are we talking about some messier areas about U.S. citizens' free speech? And is the government watching and flagging things that they perceive as potentially unsafe things to say? That's a whole different can of worms. And I think that that's what you saw on the Hill is you saw the questions, what are we really talking about here? And that question sort of stands, right? We don't have that much more information than what we received that first day at the budget meeting. So that's where the controversy lies.